The Acer Triton 900 has some powerful hardware inside a thinner chassis, so just how hot does it get, and how does this affect performance? In this detailed thermal testing, you'll see how hot it runs and find out what simple changes can be made to improve temperatures and performance. My configuration of the Triton 900 has an Intel i7-9750H CPU, 180W NVIDIA RTX 2080 graphics, 32GB of memory and dual channel, and a 17.3-inch 4K 60Hz screen with G-Sync. You can find updated prices linked in the description. Air is pulled in underneath the machine through the intake vents towards the back, and through the vents above the keyboard on the left. Air then gets exhausted out of the back left and right corners, as well as from the vents on the back left and right sides. There are a few heat pipes shared between the processor and graphics, and both fans are made out of metal blades. The Acer Predator Sense software allows us to swap between normal, fast, and extreme modes, and these overclock the graphics and adjust the power limits as listed here. The software also allows fan control, and I've tested with the fans either on default auto speed or at maximum. By default, the Triton 900 undervolts the CPU by -0.1 volts, so all testing was done with this default configuration in place. And as this is already pretty decent, I haven't bothered pushing it further. Thermal testing was completed in an ambient room temperature of 21 degrees Celsius, so expect different results in different environments. Both the CPU and GPU were looking good at idle. The rest of the results are from combined CPU and GPU workloads, and are meant to represent worst case scenarios as I ran them for extended periods of time. The gaming results towards the upper half of the graph were tested by playing Watch Dogs 2, as I find it to use a good combination of processor and graphics. The stress test results shown on the lower half of the graph are from running the Acer64 CPU stress test with only the stress CPU option checked, and the Heaven GPU benchmark at max settings at the same time to fully load the system. The CPU was thermal throttling anytime I've got it listed at 90 degrees Celsius, as this seems to be the limit Acer have defined. To be fair, this seems to be a pretty good option compared to letting the CPU just run away up to 100 degrees or something. When under stress test, the CPU thermal throttle was only removed once I added in a cooling pad. With this particular game, we see more of an improvement to CPU and GPU temperatures simply by setting the fans to max speed, and then again with the cooling pad. These are the average clock speeds for the same tests just shown. Normal mode saw the lowest CPU performance due to the lower power limit, while the GPU clock speed was down as it's not yet overclocked. Fast mode overclocks the graphics a little, while extreme mode overclocks the RTX 2080 even further and raises the power limit. Going from normal to fast mode also raises the fan speed, which is why we see the CPU clock speed change with fast mode enabled, as it helps address the CPU thermal throttle. The fan goes even faster in extreme mode, which is why there was still an improvement to CPU clock speed under stress test. At this point, it's only just barely thermal throttling as it's not far behind the 4GHz all-core turbo boost speed of the i7-9750H, while the cooling pad is able to get it all the way. Meanwhile in this game, extreme mode with auto fan was almost able to get us there. These are the average power levels reported by Hardware Info during these same tests. In normal and fast modes, the RTX 2080 graphics is capped to 150 watts. In extreme mode, the limit rises up to 180 watts. However, in the stress test, it averaged a little under this. While this particular game doesn't seem to benefit from more GPU power, the CPU power limit at normal is on the lower side due to the thermal throttling that was taking place. However, it rises as the fan speed improves. Despite the thin laptop and the already power-hungry RTX 2080, it was good to see that the 9750H could run above 55 watts in combined CPU and GPU workloads. In CPU-only workloads like Cinebench, the 9750H would run up to 77 watts before being capped to the 70-watt PL1, so much higher is possible when the GPU is idle. There wasn't much of a difference between fast and extreme modes. However, 3000 points is about as good as you'll see from a 9750H. To see how these different settings actually affect gaming performance, I've tested Control with the highest setting preset. There's not that much of a difference between normal and fast. Probably as both still cap the GPU power limit to 150 watts. Then there's a larger boost with extreme mode. If you want to see more gaming benchmarks on the Triton 900, check the card in the top right where I've tested a bunch of different games at 1080p, 1440p, and 4K resolutions. Here's how the external temperatures look where you'll actually be touching. At idle, the keyboard and touchpad were below the usual 30 degrees I typically see with most laptops. With the stress tests running in normal mode, the keyboard and touchpad are similar and still cool. Similar results in fast mode, even though the fans are going faster now. And then again in extreme mode. Although the back area is hotter, it's still only warm to the touch. With the fans at max speed, it's barely getting to 40 degrees worst case, which is quite impressive given the performance that's on offer. Here's how the fans sound in the different modes. The fans were only just audible at idle. With the stress tests in normal mode, the fans are below average when compared to most other gaming laptops I've tested, while performing significantly better due to the high-end specs. Fast mode is then a little above average, extreme mode is quite loud, then at maximum you'll probably want some headphones. Overall, the results from the Triton 900 were quite impressive. Sure, the CPU was thermal throttling in many instances under worst case stress test, but personally I prefer the CPU to be limited to 90 degrees Celsius than being able to run higher just for marginally improved performance. Having it undervolted out of the box was also a nice bonus. I doubt most people do this themselves, so it means regular users will see improved performance. Having the heat generating components towards the back also allows for improved cooling while keeping the areas you actually touch cooler than most other laptops. When you consider that we've got RTX 2080 graphics that can run up to 180 watts in a 2.3cm thick machine, I don't think it's too bad at all. Plus, as we saw, it was possible to make improvements easily by simply increasing fan speed. Realistically, the performance before raising fans too loud was still pretty good, so you definitely could play games with high enough levels of performance while maintaining a more reasonable operating volume. Despite the RTX 2080 graphics, the Triton 900 just has a single 330 watt power brick. However, during my testing after an hour of gaming, the battery did dip down to 91%, though that seems to be pretty normal with many laptops. These differences in performance shown aren't hard and fast rules. There are different factors which will vary results. Primarily the temperature of the room you're running in, application of thermal paste, and even the specific hardware, which comes down to the silicon lottery. Different hardware will have different limits with regards to overclocking and undervolting. It depends on the chip and its specific power requirements, so you should do your own testing to confirm the defaults Acer are providing are stable. I did find some games to crash with extreme mode for instance, and had to lower the overclocks a little with MSI Afterburner. I still needed extreme mode though, as it's the only way of boosting the power limit of the 2080. It may be possible to further improve temperatures by swapping the thermal paste. However, as this is a review unit that I have to send back, I'm not able to change the paste. Otherwise the next reviewer will unknowingly report different results due to what I've done. Raising fan speed and using a cooling pad are much easier for most people to do than changing paste anyway. And as we've seen, these tweaks did help improve performance and temperatures with the Triton 900. Let me know what you thought about the performance and thermals from the Acer Triton 900 gaming laptop down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, you'll definitely want to get subscribed for the upcoming full review to see everything this machine has to offer.